Bambi was written by Felix Salten in 1923. It's best known for being made into a Disney movie. The movie has a reputation for being lighthearted children's entertainment because it's about really cute animals and nature, but there are some really dark moments. This book is even darker and more violent than the movie. There's certainly a lot more blood and death during the hunting scenes, multiple hunting scenes. The book is also really long, about 300 pages, which is ironic because most books based on the movie are closer to 30 pages.
Argo Funk Book Review. Argo Funk Book Review.
Here's my recap of the book. Bambi the deer is born in a thicket. His loving mother watches over him while a magpie chatters about herself. When the deer don't pay attention, the magpie decides they're stupid, and she flies away. The animals are kind of mean to each other in this book. They're not trying to be mean. It's more like that's the way animals are. In real life, birds don't care that much about deer, and vice versa. They mostly avoid each other. There are a handful of animals that are on friendly terms with Bambi, like a silly squirrel, friend hare, and a screech owl who mostly enjoys scaring Bambi and being complimented. They're definitely not as friendly as the movie, though. Young Bambi is curious about the world and loves asking questions. His mother takes him to the meadow. He is so overjoyed he jumps around and plays a lot, even though his mother warns him there could be danger. That's why they only go to the meadow when it's dark. Bambi meets his two cousins, a sickly boy named Gobo and a girl named Feline. They're startled into silence when they see two male deer. The males are always called princes. I don't know why. When I watched the movie as a kid, that confused me. Is Bambi's dad a king? Does that make Bambi a Disney princess? No, every male deer is called a prince all the time. Similarly, humans are not called humans in this book. They're called he. Bambi sees he for the first time. Bambi is struck with dreadful terror, and he flees as the hunter pulls out a gun. The horror of humans deepens when one of the princes is shot. Bambi occasionally sees his father, the oldest stag in the forest. He's so stately and imposing, Bambi is scared to talk to him. He scolds young Bambi for being so dependent on his mother, and when Bambi asks questions, he says things like, "I don't care, figure it out yourself." He's not a nice guy, but that's because in real life, male deer do not interact with their children. This book gives the impression that males spend almost all of their time wandering alone. They often go months without seeing any other deer. That's what happens to Bambi when he gets older. In the second half of the book, he's mostly alone and avoids all the other characters. I could definitely understand if some readers found this boring, and maybe the movie made the right decision in giving Bambi some companions. In Chapter 8, it's almost winter time. There are 2 leaves left on the oak tree. The leaves are worried because they don't want to fall and die, yet they must. This chapter is well written, and it's filled with so much existential terror. I think it's the part of the book that I'll remember the most, which is weird because it's a short chapter with talking leaves. Winter is hard, and the deer are forced to herd together. Bambi enjoys talking to Prince Carus and Prince Rano, who has a wounded leg from being shot. The deer mostly talk about he and his guns. This brings us to the scene that most people remember the best. Hunters enter the forest. All the animals flee in a wild panic. As Bambi runs, he sees a lot of other animals get shot and killed. The most gruesome one is Friend Hare's wife, who begs for help as she dies from blood loss. Cousin Gobo falls down, and despite Bambi's pleas, he stops trying to run away. Once Bambi stops running, he can't find his mother among the other deer. He never sees his mother again. That's heartbreaking. The book skips ahead to when Bambi starts growing antlers. He's happy to see Feline again. They talk about old times and play in the meadow. He says that he loves her. His former friends, Chorus and Rono, forbid him from talking to Feline. They fight by smashing their heads together. Bambi breaks off their antlers. Now Feline loves him, and they make merry. The next day, Bambi hears Feline calling. Bambi is wild with desire, but the old stag warns him that it's a trap. The stag slowly guides Bambi to see that it's not Feline, it's he, using a deer call. Gobo reappears in the forest. He wasn't killed by humans, he was taken as a pet. Now Gobo loves humans because they were nice to him. They fed him all the time, and they kept him in warm places. He fails to convince the other deer that humans are all good and all powerful. The other deer are taken aback by how Gobo is heedless of danger now, and how he wears a halter around his neck. When hunters return to the forest, Gobo refuses to run away. Instead, he walks directly towards them. The hunters shoot Gobo without any hesitation. I guess they didn't notice his halter. The animals hear Gobo's shrieks as the humans slowly walk up to him and kill him. It's gruesome! I can see why Gobo was not included in the Disney version. Sometime later, Friend Hare is caught in a hunter trap. Bambi's horrified to learn he still controls the forest, even when he is not there. Bambi helps Friend Hare escape before he's killed by a fox. Believe it or not, this scene is in one of the Disney books called Thumper's Little Sisters. Bambi sees Feline again. She asks why he avoids her, and he says he wants to be alone. He doesn't know if he loves her anymore. That's harsh, but it's for the best that he drives Feline away, because later on that page, Bambi is shot by hunters. His shoulder is leaking blood. Bambi wants to lie down and die. The old stag forces Bambi to keep moving and circle the area to avoid being caught by he. Once the blood stops flowing so much, the stag takes Bambi to a safe place so he can rest and recover. Sometime later, Bambi sees his old friends again, but it's been so long, they can't really talk to each other anymore. The stag has one more thing to show Bambi before he dies. He takes Bambi to a hunter who was shot by accident. As the human lies dying in the snow, Bambi realizes humans aren't all-powerful creatures. They're just animals who are subject to a higher power. The old stag goes away to die, and Bambi meets two young deer. He echoes his father's earlier criticism that deer have to learn to be alone. It's not until later that Bambi realizes those were probably his children. The end. Post-book follow-up. This is a very descriptive book, and it's great if you love descriptions of nature. Not so great if you dislike descriptions of hunting and death. There's a lot of focus on hunters, especially in the second half. I guess there's not much else for Bambi to focus on once he stops spending time with other deer. The book has religious overtones. A lot of the talk about humans could be applied to God or nature, especially the part where the deer agree he's all-powerful, but disagree if he is all good or all wicked. The author was a German Jew in the 1920s. Everyone agrees the book is an allegory for Jewish persecution at the time. When the Nazis came into power, they banned the book for being anti-Nazi political propaganda. Other people see the book as an environmentalist story, although I'd argue it leans closer to realism than environmentalism. Overall, I think it's a good book. I can understand why the Disney movie overshadows it, though, because the book is really violent for kids' entertainment. The movie does lose a lot by not including the political overtones and by leaving out most of the characters. Yes, the movie has the scene where Bambi fights Rono, but it's pretty different because that's when Rono first appears in the movie. There was a whole chapter with him earlier in the book. Bambi fighting a stranger is less impactful than Bambi fighting the older boy he used to admire. I freely admit I have no idea what score to give the book, so I'll agree with the most commonly accepted score. I give Bambi an 8 out of 10.